Chapter 719, Big Brother Merman Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and pointed at the people on the ground. What about them? Them? Of course they'll become food, the man sneered. Yun Chujio was shocked, but she felt relieved after thinking about it. Mermaids were also demonic beasts, so they naturally ate people. She pointed at Feng and said with a smile, Brother Merman, it's fine if you eat others, but this is my companion. Can you spare him? The mermaid's man was slightly stunned. Little girl, why aren't you surprised when you heard that I ate humans? The strong prey on the weak, it's just natural selection. What's there to be surprised about? Humans eat you demonic beasts, and demonic beasts eat humans. It's the same logic, so there's nothing to be surprised about, Yun Chujio said indifferently. Ha ha ha. The law of the jungle. Natural selection. Little girl, you're really interesting. At first, the man laughed out loud, but later, he turned crazy. His long hair danced in the wind. Yun Chujio secretly wiped her saliva. She had to admit that this merman was really beautiful, even when he went crazy, he was still so beautiful. According to what you said, is it natural for our merfolk to be exterminated? Our merfolk have always been aloof from worldly affairs. We lived quietly in the deep sea. What right do you have to say that we have violated the Tian Dao and sent down heavenly thunder to exterminate our merfolk? The merman's dark blue eyes began to shed blood tears. They fell to the ground and turned into blood-red beads, sparkling with a lustrous light. Yun Chujio had heard of mermaids' tears before, but those were not the tears of mermaids but were produced by a type of sea clam. These were the real mermaid's tears. Brother Merman, don't be sad. That old bastard Tian Dao often did such evil things. Tell me, how did your mermaid clan offend that old bastard Tian Dao? Yun Chujio said as she secretly put away the small beads. The merman was originally full of grief and indignation, but when he heard Yun Chujio's words, he was immediately dumbfounded and sat speechlessly for a long time. He thought he had heard wrongly. Little girl, what did you say just now? I said, that old bastard Tian Dao has always done evil things to the heavens. Whenever he had nothing to do, he would strike me with lightning. Fuck, sooner or later, I will find him to take revenge. Yun Chujio puffed up her cheeks and said angrily. The merman was shocked. You dare to criticize Tian Dao? He has let me down, why can't I criticize him? He does things according to his whims, there is no so-called fairness. Not only did I scold him, but I will also seek revenge on him in the future. Yun Chujio said angrily. The merman was stunned, he could not help but laugh at the sky. Yes. What you said makes sense. Tian Dao is unfair, why do we still have to fear him? If he was virtuous, he would not have punished us merfolk for no reason. Well said. Tian Dao is indeed an old bastard. He is a bastard. Following the merman's words, rumbling thunder sounded above his head. The man could not help but smile bitterly. Little girl, it's fine if you scold him, but if I scold Tian Dao, the heavenly thunder will strike me. It's good that it's here. I've lived long enough, it's better to destroy this place. However, the merman was obviously overthinking. Despite the thunder outside, that place was not affected. Big Brother Merman, tell me, how did your merfolk offend that old bastard Tian Dao? Yun Chujio was already immune to the thunder, so she did not care about being struck by it. Chapter 720, 10,000-year-old Darksteel. Just as the merman was about to speak, he suddenly clutched his head with his hands. It was obvious that he was in great pain. Ah, why can't I remember? My head hurts. Ah. Brother Merman, don't think about it if you can't remember. Let's talk about something else. Yun Chujio quickly changed the topic when she saw that the merman was in pain. The merman took a while to calm down, then said with a bitter smile, the person who trapped me here must have sealed off a part of my memory. In the beginning, I didn't even remember what I said to you just now. Maybe I only remembered a little after the seal was broken. Brother Merman, who trapped you here? Can you still remember that? The merman shook his head. I can't. I've been trapped here for more than 10,000 years. Then, how did you survive these 10,000 years? Yun Chujio asked curiously. The merman laughed self-deprecatingly. I don't know what methods the people who trapped me here used. After some time, some corpses of demon beasts and humans would appear on the round platform, and I would eat them. After 1,000 years, there would occasionally be cultivators who would find their way in. No one could resist my illusions, and they were all eaten by me. Yun Chujia's heart moved. Big Brother Merman, can you let me see those corpses that appeared on their own? A few days ago, a few more people happened to fall in. They're in that corner. Go and see for yourself. The merman pointed to a corner in the west. Yun Chujio jumped over and saw the bodies of 6 people. Yun Chujio saw that the nails of the 6 people were slightly blue, and her heart stirred. She further inspected the bodies before she returned. Brother Merman, I'm afraid that you will gradually lose your memory. It's not just the seal. Those people were all poisoned to death. After you eat them, the poison will naturally seep into your body. Over time, your memory will be completely lost. Moreover, the poison will make you lose your mind and even go crazy. The merman was stunned for a moment before he smiled bitterly. The person who trapped me was really cunning. If that's the case, why didn't he just kill me? Could it be that he wanted to torture me? We merfolk have never eaten humans. To survive, I had to become as brutal as those low-level demon beasts. Perhaps this is the person's goal. Not only did he destroy our people, but he also wanted to turn me into a demon. Brother Merman, I see that your spiritual power is quite high. Can't you do anything to this iron chain? Yun Chujio saw that the merman was about to fall into madness again, so she quickly changed the topic. This is a 10,000-year-old dark steel chain. I've tried countless methods over the past 10,000 years, but I still can't get rid of this chain. Only the person with the key can open it, the merman said with a bitter smile. Yun Chujio recalled that the cage that Shui Wuji had trapped her in back then was also made of 10,000-year-old dark steel. It was indeed extremely tough and could not be opened without a key. However, Big Brother Merman, isn't the 10,000-year-old dark steel able to trap spiritual power? Why can you still create illusions and even use them to obtain food? The merman said proudly, our merfolk race cultivates differently from other races. What we cultivate is not spiritual power but elemental energy. Therefore, this 10,000-year-old dark steel cannot trap our elemental energy. Yun Chujia's heart moved. Big Brother Merman, I'm afraid this is the reason why that old bastard Tian Dao sent down the heavenly punishment. He will suppress those who might threaten him. Like how I have the heavenly thunder spirit root in me, so he keeps trying to kill me because of it. Chapter 721, Do you like meat or vegetables? The merman was slightly stunned when he heard Yun Chujia's words. Perhaps what you said makes sense. However, Tian Dao would not use such methods to trap me here. There must be someone else who is doing all this. Brother Merman, don't worry. The truth will be known to the world sooner or later. It's just a matter of time. You must live well. Yun Chujio felt that the merfolk clan had suffered too much. They were exterminated by an unknown person and the only one who was still alive was still locked in this place that would never see the light of day. She felt a pang of sympathy in her heart. The merman sighed in disappointment. I'm the only one left in the merfolk clan yet I'm trapped here. How can I find out the true culprit? The merman's eyes suddenly lit up. Little girl, why don't you help me find out the truth and avenge me? Yun Chujio spread out her hands. Big Brother Merman, if I had the ability, I would naturally be willing to help you. After all, we are all friends who were suppressed by that old bastard Tian Dao. However, I don't know a thing about your merfolk clan. Your memories have all been lost, and my spiritual power is low. I'm afraid I won't be able to help you much. Little girl, you only need to help me within the range of your ability. I won't force you. The merman was desperate. He was trapped here and had no way to get out, so he had no choice but to place his hopes on this little girl. Although this little girl's spiritual power was low, she had a heavenly thunder spirit root after all. Moreover, she was very intelligent. Perhaps she could help find the real culprit and take revenge for him. Yun Chujio saw that the merman was speaking so sincerely, so she could not refuse him anymore, so she said, "All right, big brother merman. As long as I am able, I will help you find the real murderer. However, you have to give me some clues." Now, other than knowing that the other merfolk were killed by the heavenly thunder, I don't know anything else about them. The merman showed a pained expression. Apparently, he tried hard to recall his memories. After a while, he said, "Little girl, I only remember that the place where we merfolk lived is a blue sea." Yun Chujio almost laughed out of anger. "Aren't you pulling my leg? Of course you merfolk live in the sea. Could you survive in the desert?" "No. There seem to be many high-level sea beasts in the sea where we lived. There seems to be a mountain by the sea." The merman covered his head again as he said this. His face was full of pain. "Brother merman, if you can't remember, then don't push yourself. When I leave, I'll leave you some non-toxic food. You might be able to slowly recover your memory. Anyway, I'm still weak now, so I can't do anything too taxing." Yun Chujio didn't have anything else on her, but there was plenty to eat. The merman really couldn't remember anything else, so he could only provide the information he spoke of earlier. He continued, "My tears are top-grade water-repellent beads. Don't let others find out about you, lest you get into trouble." Yun Chujio touched her nose awkwardly. It seems like he noticed what she was doing earlier after all. However, she was very thick-skinned, so she pretended to not notice and chuckled. "Brother merman, can you use storage rings? How about I put all the food in a storage ring for you?" "Sure, thank you very much. Do you like meat or vegetables? How about this, I will give you a combination of meat and vegetables. There are raw food and cooked food. You can eat whatever you like." Yun Chujio threw a few storage rings that had not been refined to the merman. After the merman refined the storage ring, Yun Chujio transferred all kinds of food into the corresponding storage ring. Chapter 722, Can I ask you a question? The merman saw the various kinds of food in the storage bag, and his eyes reddened. His tears fell again. It had been tens of thousands of years, and he had never eaten decent food since then. Although the food the little girl gave him was not what the merfolk were used to, it was already better than what he was forced to live on the entire time. The tears that the merman shed this time were different from the bloody tears from last time. This time, they were transparent and round beads. Yun Chujio, being such a shameless person, immediately picked them up. It was a good treasure. She could not waste it. The corner of the merman's eyes twitched. This little girl was greedy. "Little girl, our merfolk clan is very rich. I remember that we have a treasure vault." When the man said that, his head started to hurt again. Yun Chujio did not change the topic this time. "My goodness, that was critical information. Keep trying to remember." The merman suddenly opened his mouth and spat out a shell. The merman looked at the shell and tears flowed again. Yun Chujio picked up the beads on the ground and counted them in her heart. This one was for the gigolo, this one was for her grandfather, and this one was for her fourth brother. "Little girl, this shell should be the key to the treasury. Keep it. If you find the treasury, the treasures inside will be my payment to you." The merman thought that Yun Chujio would definitely refuse. Just as he was about to say something to persuade her to accept it, he felt the shell disappear from his hand. He saw that the little girl had already swiped the shell and put it in her storage ring as if she were afraid that he would go back on his word. The merman's eyes twitched violently. The little girl's greed was no less than the legendary mythical beast Paishio. She was too greedy. Big Brother Merman, don't worry. When my spiritual power increases, I will help you find the real culprit. Also, is this 10,000-year-old dark steel really impossible to break? Let me try something. Yun Chujio first struck it with lightning, then used her rolling pin to hammer it. There was not even a single scratch on the chain. Clearly, these attacks were useless against the 10,000-year-old dark steel. It's useless. 10,000-year-old dark steel is extremely hard. Other than having a key to open it, nothing else can break it, the merman sighed and said. It's that strong. Is it true that nothing can break it? If I had the divine weapon, the divine god axe, I might be able to break it. However, the divine god axe disappeared tens of thousands of years ago. The possibility of finding it is almost impossible. Little girl, you don't have to worry about me. As long as you can help me find the real culprit and avenge our merfolk clan, I am willing to be trapped here forever. I won't have any regrets, said the merman sadly. Yun Chujio giggled and said, anything is possible. Before today, you didn't expect to meet such a smart human like me, right? So, you have to have faith that everything will work out. The merman looked at Yun Chujio's smiling face and couldn't help but feel warmth in his heart. After tens of thousands of years, this little girl was the first person to bring such warmth to his heart. Brother Merman, I have a question that has been nagging me for some time. Can I ask you about it? You won't be angry, right? Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and said carefully. What question? Hee, you have to promise that you won't get angry before I ask. Yun Chujio laughed dryly. The merman smiled. I won't get angry. Just ask. A moment later, after hearing Yun Chujio's question, the merman's face turned red and his hair stood up on end. Chapter 723, Yun Chujio's question. Yun Chujio laughed dryly when she saw how angry the merman was. Brother Merman, you said you wouldn't be angry, why didn't you keep your word? The merman's face turned red. You little girl, you, actually asked such a shameless question. How outrageous. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Brother Merman, how is that a shameless question? This is a big problem that concerns the survival of the merfolk. You are the only one left. I have to know how the merfolk reproduce so that I can help you find a partner. Do you want the merfolk to go extinct? The merman was both embarrassed and angry. After a moment of silence, he squeezed out a sentence from between his teeth, we will turn into human form. Yun Chujio let out a long "oh" with a relieved expression. She said, that's easy then. When I rescue you in the future, I will introduce you to a girl. Although the offspring you give birth to is of mixed blood, it is still much better than having no offspring. Brother Merman, don't worry. I can tell that your looks and figure are not bad. There will be many girls who don't mind that you are a merman. The merman's face was completely red. For some reason, he felt that it was very embarrassing to be naked in front of this little girl. With a wave of his hand, a sky-blue cloak appeared on his body, covering his entire body. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Big Brother Merman, so you are deliberately not wearing any clothes? I thought you were only like this because you don't have any clothes. The merman's face was as red as blood. In the sea, the men of the merfolks had always been naked, and the women only covered their chests. Only during important festivals or banquets would they transform into their human form and wear fancy clothes. He was already used to not wearing clothes. Initially, he thought nothing of it, but after hearing what the little girl said, why did he feel so uncomfortable? Yun Chujio saw that the merman was so embarrassed that he was about to find a hole to hide in. She cursed in her heart, "Oh, why are all the beautiful men in this world so innocent and shy?" She changed the topic out of kindness. She pointed at Lu Qian and said, Brother Merman, can you cast your illusion on this person and help me ask him a few questions? The merman could not wait to ease the awkward situation he was in and immediately said, "Yes, you can question him yourself. He will see you as a mermaid." "Thank you, brother merman. Let's begin." The merman made a hand seal. A moment later, Lu Qian opened his eyes on the ground. The first thing he did was to look at his hands and feet. When he realized that he had not turned into a fish, he kept kowtowing to Yun Chuzhou. "Thank you, fairy. Thank you, fairy. Why did you come here? This is your only chance. If you don't tell the truth, I will turn you into a fish again." "Benevolent fairy. A masked man asked me to come. He said that if I could help him retrieve something, he would help me increase my spiritual power and make our Goshawk sect a super sect. Even the 4 great sects won't be able to compare to our Goshawk sect when we were done." "What did he ask you to retrieve?" Yun Chuzhou curled her lips. This Lu Qian was really ambitious, even bigger than the 4 great sects. "An Feng and I alone could destroy his sect of flies. He asked me to find a map." Lu Qian was scared out of his wits and answered whatever he was asked. "Map? What map?" "That man said to find a map, but he didn't say what map it was." "Fairy, I'm just following orders. I don't know anything else." Lu Qian kept kowtowing and begging for mercy. Chapter 724, Yun Chuzhou drew the map. Yun Chuzhou frowned. "That person promised that your Goshawk sect could become a super sect, and you actually believe him?" "To be honest, that person gave me a pill. After I ate it, I quickly rose from the 2nd level to the 3rd level of the Spirit Emperor realm. That person promised me that if I found the map and gave it to him, he would give me a lot of those pills. With those pills, our Goshawk sect's disciples' cultivation will increase by a large margin. When that time comes, we will be able to rise to prominence." Lu Qian's eyes shone with yearning as he spoke. "If you get the map, how will that person contact you?" "That person said that I don't need to contact him. He will contact me." After Yun Chuzhou inquired for a while, she indicated to the merman that she was done. The merman waved his hand and Lu Qian fainted once again. Yun Chuzhou took out the snow cashmere carpet from her storage ring and cut off a piece of it with a large kitchen knife. After scraping off the cashmere, she took out a brush, dipped it in a cinnabar and drew a map. The merman looked at Yun Chuzhou's actions curiously and said disapprovingly, "Little girl, the map you drew is obviously new. It's impossible to fool others." Yun Chuzhou giggled. "Brother merman, this is only the first step. You won't say that when you see the finished product later." The merman was skeptical. He saw Yun Chuzhou take out spirit wine and rice vinegar and rubbed it on the map. Then she took out a piece of ore, turned it into powder, and started to smoke the map with fire. After Yun Chuzhou smoked the map until it was slightly yellow, she washed it again with water. After drying it with her spiritual power, she repeatedly folded it with her hands and dragged it around on the ground. Finally, she burned a corner of it with a flint and nodded in satisfaction before handing the map to the merman. "Big brother merman, what do you think?" The merman took the map and looked at it. He was very surprised. If he did not know that this map was newly drawn by the little girl, he would have thought that it was an old map that had been passed down for many years. "Little girl, I didn't expect you to have such a unique skill. This map looks real. The only flaw is that it's not made from the skin of a poison-antlered antelope. Otherwise, I would have thought that it was passed down from ancient times." Yun Chuzhou giggled. "I have many skills. This is just a small trick. Brother merman, can you set up an illusion for them to think that I helped them turn back into human form and get this map before sending us out?" The merman nodded. "Yes, I'll cast a spell right away. See you again, little girl. Big brother merman, don't worry. I'll send you food again when I have time. You must take care and wait for my good news." Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. The merman saw Yun Chujia's bright smile and his heart warmed. He nodded solemnly. "I'll wait for you. Big brother merman, you have to keep your word. If you misspeak, you'll be a puppy." Although Yun Chujia's smile was very bright, she sighed in her heart. Big brother merman was kept going by the hatred of having his entire clan exterminated. That was why he was able to endure such torment day after day. If it was an ordinary person, they would not be able to live for even a day, let alone 10,000 years. The merman saw a trace of pity in Yun Chujia's eyes. His nose turned sour and he hurriedly began to cast a spell. After creating an illusion, he teleported everyone outside the cave. Chapter 725, An Feng, who wanted to report after a while, Lu Qian and the others woke up. When they saw Yun Chujio standing at the side, they looked confused. They were naturally grateful, but these people were greedy. When they thought of the map in Yun Chujia's hands, they became restless. Lu Qian's expression changed a few times. "A great man has to be ruthless. Although you saved me, I must get that map for the sake of our Goshawk sect. Thank you for saving my life, young hero Shi. Please follow me to our Goshawk sect for a few days and let us host you well." Lu Qian saw Yun Chujia's high spiritual power in the illusion and felt that these people in front of him might not have a chance of winning. Therefore, he decided to think of a way to kill Yun Chujio after he returned to the Goshawk sect to obtain the map. The merman erased some of their previous memories, so these people still thought that Yun Chujio was a young boy. Yun Chujio pretended to decline the invite a couple times. After a few rounds of humility, she smiled and said, "All right, it just so happens that I'm almost done with the trial. Since sect leader Lu is so kind, I'll go and disturb you for a few days." An Feng was a little confused now. He had a feeling that the Yun Chujio he saw in the underground was not quite the same as what he remembered, but he had clearly seen it with his own eyes. What exactly was going on? Fortunately, Yun Chujio found an opportunity to tell An Feng about what had happened. An Feng finally understood. "Young master, what are your plans next?" Yun Chujio smiled slyly. "Of course, it's to lure the snake out of its hole. I want to see who is the one who has the red spider lily jade token." An Feng knew that it was useless to persuade her, so he could only act according to the situation. However, the other thing he was thinking about was the naked handsome fish. Miss Chiu called him Brother Merman. He was also very handsome. Should I tell the Honorable Sir or not? Yun Chujio did not know that An Feng was going to secretly report her. She was thinking, since Brother Merman has already established my awesome image, I might as well deepen their impression of me. So she released the 2 earth-shattering ice bears. Lu Qian and the others were shocked. How could 2 Tier 8 earth-shattering ice bears appear out of nowhere? Let me introduce them to you. These are the means of transportation for me and the little madman. Although their levels aren't very high, they're still very useful in the chimeric ice field, Yun Chujio said with a smile. Lu Ren saw that the 2 earth-shattering ice bears were acting coquettishly like puppies beside Yun Chujio. He was so shocked that his eyeballs almost fell out. "Young hero Shi, are these your new spiritual pets?" Lu Qian felt lucky that he did not make a move just now. Otherwise, he might not have been able to defeat Yun Chujio. It was better to return to the Goshawk sect and plan things out. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and said, "Yes, I'm keeping them for fun. It's also really cool when you take them out. If you like them, you can go and catch 2 of them. It's very easy." Lu Qian and the others were dumbfounded. "Are you kidding us? Simple. Simple my asterisk SS." Not only were ice bears hard to catch, they were also violent. Some would rather die than be contracted by a human, let alone 2 of them at once. Yun Chujio and An Feng sat on the back of the bear happily. The 2 earth-shattering ice bears trode forward happily while Lu Qian and the others chased after them bitterly. When they reached the edge of the ice lake, Lu Qian and the others finally reacted. There were scarlet poison frogs in the ice lake, so Lu Qian said, "Young hero, sure, let's take a detour. It said that there are high-level demonic beasts in this lake." Yun Chuzhou said with a smile, "If you guys are willing to take a detour, then let's do so. Anyway, I'm going through here. Big Bear, Bear 2, swim over." Chapter 726, The Secret of the 10,000-Year-Old Snow Ganoderma. Two earth-shattering ice bears jumped into the ice lake. Yun Chuzhou and Enfeng stood on the back of the bear calmly and leisurely crossed the ice lake. Sect leader Lu, there doesn't seem to be the rumored carpet poison frog in the ice lake. Why don't we go there too? Shan Yanghu said. Lu Qian was afraid that Yun Chuzhou would leave with the map, so he gritted his teeth and said, "All right. Well, go through it too." Lu Qian and the others swam across the lake with fear in their hearts. They only felt relieved when they reached the shore. It seemed that the frog was just a rumor. There was not even a trace of it. After a night's rest, they found the 10,000-year-old snow Ganoderma. Oh my god! It's actually a 10,000-year-old snow Ganoderma. And it's such a big bunch. Oh my god! How many spirit stones is this worth? We're rich. Lu Qian and the others immediately revealed their greedy looks. They could not find anything in this treasure hunt. If they could dig up the snow Ganoderma and sell it, it would be a considerable income. A few Goshawk sect disciples could not wait to rush forward. Only then did they realize that the 10,000-year-old snow Ganoderma was protected by a spirit energy barrier. Those few people began to attack the spiritual energy barrier with their spiritual energy, while Shan Yanghu and San Jiaoyan also attacked the spiritual energy barrier together. Yun Chuzhou did not go forward. She always felt that the 10,000-year-old snow Ganoderma was a little strange, so she just stood at a distance and watched. Lu Qian was afraid that Yun Chuzhou would take the opportunity to escape, so he also stood at the same place and did not move. An hour later, Shan Yanghu and the others finally broke through the spiritual energy barrier and fought to dig up the 10,000-year-old snow Ganoderma. They did not expect that a puff of poisonous smoke would shoot out from the 10,000-year-old snow Ganoderma. Those few people all fell to the ground and died. Even Shan Yanghu and San Jiaoyan, who were at the level of Spirit Emperor, did not manage to escape. They died just like that. Everyone was so scared that they quickly retreated far away. After the black smoke dissipated, everything returned to its original appearance. However, the corpses on the ground had strangely disappeared. Yun Chujia's heart stirred. Her brother Merman had once said that there would be the corpses of demonic beasts and humans falling on the round platform every once in a while. So that was how the corpses came about. This 10,000-year-old snow Ganoderma was actually bait. It was used to lure food for Big Brother Merman. The person who designed the array formation there was really awesome. Sigh. It seemed that it was not an ordinary task to save Big Brother Merman. The other party was obviously very powerful. Not to mention her, even the gigolo was probably not his match. Lu Qian's entire body was soaked in sweat. If he was not there to monitor the spirit stones, he might have gone to help attack the spiritual energy barrier. He would be dead for sure. The few people around Lu Qian were also extremely fearful. They wanted to preserve their position, so they did not go along with the digging. Otherwise, they would definitely die. Now, Lu Qian only had 8 people left. 2 of them were hired spirit sovereign realm elders, and the remaining 6 people were all from the Goshawk sect. Everyone set off once again. The atmosphere became much more solemn, and they became even more cautious. That night, Yun Chuzhou sneakily released the 2 earth-shattering ice bears. Big Bear, Bear 2, I'm leaving this chimeric ice field. This is the blood coagulation pill that I promised you. We'll meet again in the future. Be careful, and don't be discovered by them. Big Bear and Bear 2 rubbed against Yun Chujio before disappearing into the night. Their fur and ice field fused into one, and together with the deliberate concealment of their auras, Lu Qian and the others did not notice their departure at all. Chapter 727, Blame. Merely the next morning, Lu Qian noticed that the 2 earth-shattering ice bears had disappeared. He asked in puzzlement, "Young hero Shi, where are your 2 earth-shattering ice bears? Sitting on their backs all day is really boring. I plan to stroll around by myself, so I put them into the spirit beast pouch," Yun Chujio said indifferently. Lu Qian and the others had looks of envy, jealousy, and hatred on their faces. "You don't know your fortune when you have it. How we wish we had such a spirit pet that could be used as a transportation tool." The next few days went smoothly. When they encountered the demonic beasts, Yun Chujio naturally hid behind them and let Lu Qian and the others do the work. Although Lu Qian and the others were dissatisfied, they could not say anything since Yun Chujio saved their lives. When they arrived at the spirit-sapping forest, Lu Qian said in puzzlement, "Young hero Shi, I wonder if it was normal when you passed through this spirit-sapping forest. When we passed by, these spirit-sapping vines turned into this half-dead appearance. It's really strange." Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. "When we passed by, it was also like this. Could it be that these vines aren't like this usually?" As soon as Yun Chujio finished her sentence, those vines began to tremble. "That little devil who drank our poison is here again. So scary. This little devil is lying through his teeth. You were clearly the one who sucked all the poison out of our bodies, yet you still pretend to be innocent. It's really too hateful. I really want to beat her to death. Young hero Shi, why are these spirit-sapping vines trembling? Could it be that something has happened?" Lu Qian was already scared out of his wits and was panicking. "It's nothing. I guess they're more excited when they see someone coming. When we passed by here, nothing happened. I even went up the tree to pick wild fruits to eat," Yun Chujio said with a smile. A goshawk sect disciple curled his lips. "Humph, are you bragging? It's fine if the vines are on the ground. Once they start climbing the tree, they will start absorbing the spiritual power of the people. The light ones would lose their spiritual power, and the heavy ones would lose their lives. How could you dare to go up the tree to pick wild fruits to eat?" Yun Chujio glanced at him, then she tapped the ground with the tip of her feet and leaped up a tree with a whoosh, breaking a branch full of red wild fruits. Then, she jumped down. "See? Nothing happened. There's no such thing as absorbing spiritual power like you said." Lu Qian and the others were dumbfounded. Could it be that this spirit-sapping forest really stopped absorbing spiritual power? The disciple who had mocked Yun Chujio earlier saw that Yun Chujio was enjoying the sweet fruit and was a little greedy. He imitated Yun Chujio and jumped onto a tree. Before he could break the branches of the wild fruit, a spirit-sapping vine next to him tied him tightly to the tree. The vine thought to itself, "Damn it. I don't dare to mess with that little devil, and do you think I don't dare to mess with you? I can absorb all of your spiritual power and replenish my power." That disciple was so scared that he cried out, "Sect Master! Help! Help!" Lu Qian was so angry that he gnashed his teeth. "Aren't you just looking for trouble for no reason?" However, they could not just leave him to die. Everyone used their spiritual power to cut off a part of the vine, and finally saved that disciple who already had half his spiritual power absorbed. The disciple glared at Yun Chujio fiercely. Yun Chujio spread out her hands and said, "It's not like I asked you to climb the tree. You're the one who's greedy. Are you blaming me?" The disciple was already a little weak after losing half of his spiritual power. After being angered by Yun Chujio, he choked and fainted. Chapter 728, Spirit-Devouring Pill. Sect Leader Lu, these disciples of yours are really too weak in resisting pressure. I didn't say anything, but they actually fainted from anger. TSK, it would be really difficult for them to become great. Yun Chujio said arrogantly with her hands behind her back. Lu Qian's face was livid. He squeezed out 2 sentences through the gaps of his teeth. Young Hero Shi's words make sense. They really lack experience. After the disciple consumed the pill, he woke up. Just as he was about to say something else, Lu Qian gave him a tight slap on the face. You disgraceful thing, shut up. The disciple covered his face and did not dare to say anything. However, in his heart, he hated Yun Chujio. You brat, just you wait. When we reach the Goshawk sect, it'll definitely kill you. The rest of the journey was very smooth. Everyone left the chimeric plains and rode their swords to the Goshawk sect. Yun Chujio was afraid of being exposed, so she did not use the chopping board. Anfeng rode his sword and brought her along with Lu Qian and the others to the Goshawk sect. The Goshawk sect was in Chimeric City and occupied an entire street. When the Goshawk sect heard that the sect leader had returned, they all went to the door to welcome him. Lu Lianxin immediately saw Yun Chujio who was beside Lu Qian. She looked at Lu Qian in confusion. Father, why is this little thief with you? Why didn't you kill him? Lu Qian snorted in displeasure. What little thief? This is young Hero Shi, father's savior. Don't be rude. Lu Lianxin was usually very arrogant. When she saw that Lu Qian did not give her face in front of so many people, she stomped her feet and ran back to the manor. Lu Qian said, Young Hero Shi, please don't take offense. I have spoiled Lianxin so much that she can't be helped anymore. After I have lectured her, I'll ask her to apologize to you. Yun Chujio smiled indifferently. It's all right. Sect leader Lu is too polite. It's almost noon. Let's hurry in and have lunch. I'm hungry. The corner of Lu Qian's eyes twitched. Young Hero Shi, please come in. I'll get someone to prepare the banquet immediately. Lu Qian thought to himself, although Shi Ling's spiritual power was not low, he's greedy for pleasure. There's no way he can escape from my grasp. After everyone entered the residence, Lu Qian first let everyone wash up and then set up a sumptuous banquet. However, some of the dishes in the feast included the spirit-devouring pills that he had bought at a high price. The spirit-devouring pills were much more expensive than the scattered spirit pills, but the spirit-devouring pills were colorless and tasteless. Even spirit emperors would find it hard to notice. Yun Chujio gave Anfeng a subtle look. Anfeng understood. Some of the dishes looked like they had been eaten, but in fact, they had all been stored in his storage ring. He did not swallow them. Yun Chujio did not have such concerns, and she enjoyed the food very much. Sect leader Lu, your Goshawk sect's chefs are really good. These braised pork ribs taste better than the ones I ate elsewhere. It's a different kind of taste. Also, these steamed fish and dry fried meatballs are better than the ones cooked anywhere else. Lu Qian was shocked. The dishes that Shi Ling mentioned were all made with spirit-devouring pills. Could it be that he had discovered them? That was not right. If he discovered them, why was he still eating so happily? Perhaps it was just a coincidence. Yes, it must be a coincidence. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 dishes, the 2 spirit emperor elders that Lu Qian hired said, Sect leader Lu, we've already agreed before that if we find the treasure, we'll split it by head. If we don't find the treasure, you'll pay us 10 million low-grade spirit stones each. Now, it's time for you to fulfill your promise. Lu Qian smiled sinisterly. Spirit stones? Hee, the spirit stones paid, but you have to go underground to get it. Chapter 729, Little Black, Lu Qian, what do you mean by this? The 2 old men flew into a rage. What do I mean? Of course I mean to kill you. Do you think I will let you spread the news that I got the map? Only dead people can keep a secret. Lu Qian said gloomily. Humph. Lu Qian, you're too arrogant. We're not to be trifled with. No, wait. My spiritual power. What about my spiritual power? You actually poisoned me. Despicable. The two old men realized that they had lost more than half of their spiritual power. Lu Qian smiled coldly. Do it. Kill them. The people of the Goshawk sect attacked together. The two old men had lost more than half of their spiritual power, so they were no match for them. After 15 minutes, they died. During this time, Yun Chuzhou was still eating leisurely, as if these things had nothing to do with her. Seeing this, Lu Qian was a little suspicious. Could it be that the spirit-devouring pill had no effect on them? Why were they so calm? Lu Qian was a little hesitant. Should he make a move on Yun Chuzhou and Enfeng? Young hero, sure, sorry for making a fool of myself. I wonder what you think of the taste of this meal. Lu Qian was afraid of Yun Chuzhou's spiritual power, so he decided to test it out first. The taste of the meal is very good. This grand banquet is also done very beautifully. Sect leader Lu, I've eaten and drunk the wine. May I rest now? I've been running around these days and am tired. I really want to have a good sleep. Yun Chuzhou stretched lazily, she said with a smile. Lu Qian was even more bewildered. Just as he was hesitating, Lu Lianxin and a few disciples pulled out their swords and stabbed at Yun Chuzhou and Enfeng. Brat! You humiliated us in the plains that day, and today, I'll kill you. Not only will I kill you, but I'll also skin that flaming fox. Lu Lianxin hated Yun Chuzhou to death, coupled with the instigation of the male disciple whose spiritual power had been absorbed by the spirit vine, she could no longer hold back her hatred. Lu Qian's heart moved. It was good to let Lianxin and the others test the waters. It would be best if they were killed. If they were not killed, he would play the good cop, and the situation would be resolved. Therefore, Lu Qian gave a signal to the elders, telling them not to make a move for now and to wait and see. Yun Chuzhou's eyes darkened. These idiots are really courting death. If it wasn't for the fact that we wanted to lure out the person with the jade token, I would have killed all of you. Yun Chuzhou leaped and dodged the attacks of these people. She easily kicked Lu Lianxin and the others to the ground and then said coldly, Sect leader Lu, is this what you meant by treating me well? Could it be that you also poisoned our dishes? Lu Qian laughed dryly, young hero, sure, how is that possible? Aren't the two of you doing well? You're my savior. How can you be compared to those two greedy people? Lianxin. I really spoiled you. Hurry up and apologize to young hero, sure. Father. This brat has humiliated me several times, and you still want me to apologize to him? Lu Lianxin was kicked on the dining table by Yun Chuzhou. The soup and water splashed all over her body, making her look very miserable. Bastard! Do you ever heed my words? Men! Lock up Lianxin and these bastards. No one is allowed to let them out without my order. Lu Qian said angrily. Father! You! How dare you treat me like this? I don't want to live anymore. Lu Lianxin was held in the palm of Lu Qian's hand all this time. How could she have suffered such a great grievance? She immediately picked up the sword and was about to commit suicide. Lu Lianxin was purely trying to scare Lu Qian. She did not want to die at all. However, there was a little black bird in Yun Chuzhou's spiritual beast bag. When it heard that Lu Lianxin was going to skin the flaming three-tailed fox king, it was immediately unhappy. Little Red was now its underling. How dare you bully my underling? I curse you to death. Thus, this fellow began to curse secretly. Then, everyone watched as Lu Lianxin staggered and actually committed suicide. Chapter 730, luring the snake out of its hole. Lu Qian also thought that Lu Lianxin was just scaring him, so he did not pay too much attention to it. Furthermore, the incident happened so suddenly. By the time he regained his senses, Lu Lianxin was already dead. Lianxin. My daughter. My good daughter. Lu Qian, who had just regained his senses, collapsed on the ground and wailed loudly. Yun Chujiu frowned. No matter how she looked at it, she felt that Lu Liangxin's death was a little strange. It was as if she had fallen and hit the blade of the sword. Little Black, did you do this? Little Black rolled its bean-like eyes. Master, I didn't expect her to be so unlucky. I wanted to teach her a lesson, but she died just like that. Retribution. This is retribution. Cut the crap. I'm warning you, if you act on your own next time, I definitely will not let you off easily. Yun Chujia's head hurt a little. These three silly cubs looked obedient, but each of them was more worrisome than the last. However, compared to the two big shots in her dantian, these three were not bad. Why is my life so bitter? At that moment, the banquet hall was in chaos. Lu Qian's eyes were red. Although he felt that Lu Liangxin's death was a little strange, he had watched Lu Lianxin kill herself. He did not blame himself for the trouble caused by his greed. Instead, he blamed Lu Liangxin's death on Yun Chujiu. If it weren't for you, my daughter wouldn't have died. I would have killed you sooner or later. Lu Qian could really endure it. Although he hated Yun Chujiu in his heart, he said on the surface, young hero, sure, I'm really sorry that such a thing happened at home. I'll get someone to take you to rest. I'll take care of Liangxin's funeral before I entertain you properly. Yun Chujiu also revealed a pained expression. Sect leader Lu, I'm sorry for your loss. Then, I'll rest first. We'll talk more when we have time. Yun Chujiu and Enfeng went to the guest room. Yun Chujiu had specifically asked for only one guest room. Lu Qian did not have the heart to ask about it, so the servants arranged for the two of them to stay in the same courtyard. Enfeng took out the isolation array and activated it. He asked, young master, was what happened to Lu Lianxin really an accident? Yun Chujiu curled her lips. Little Black caused it. I've already warned it. If there's a next time, I won't forgive it. Enfeng's eyes twitched. I knew it. No matter how I look at it, that Lu Lianxin doesn't look like she was really going to commit suicide. So it's Little Black's doing. Young master, what should we do next? Wait and see. Well, lure the snake out of its hole. I reckon that person has already received the news of Lu Qian's return and will come to visit soon. Lu Qian won't be able to get the map from me, so that person will probably meet me personally. When the time comes, we'll act according to the situation. Enfeng nodded, and the two of them took turns to meditate and rest. Although Lu Qian's heart was filled with grief, the ambition in his heart swelled even more. He could not let Liangxin's death be in vain. He had to turn the Goshawk sect into a super-large sect. Even if he could not obtain the map from that Shiling, as long as he stalled them, when that person arrived, that person's spiritual power would be superb and he would definitely be able to kill Shiling. At that time, the credit would still go to him. Just as Lu Qian was about to make further plans, he did not expect that someone would arrive in his bedroom that night. My lord! You're here. Lu Qian was very excited when he saw that the person who had come was the person who had given him the pills. It must have been his Liangxin spirit in heaven that had protected him. The Goshawk sect's chance to soar to the sky had come. Chapter 731, Hand over the map. Is there a map there? Have you obtained the map? The person asked in a hoarse voice. Sir, there is indeed a map there. Good. Very good. Quickly hand it over to me. The person's tone suddenly rose, clearly very excited. Sir, but that map isn't in my hands now. It has been taken by Shiling, but don't be anxious, sir. That Shiling is in my residence. Lu Qian thought for a moment and did not ask the person why he sold the map to the stone spirit. He was afraid that if he asked too many questions, he would anger the person. Shiling. Who is Shiling? Why is the map with him? The person asked in puzzlement. Sir, didn't you sell a jade slip to that Shiling? He found the treasure according to the map on it. We were in the main hall, and it was he who saved us. Lu Qian briefly recounted what had happened. That person snorted coldly, nonsense. When have I ever sold a jade slip? Call that guy over immediately. Lu Qian quickly sent someone to invite Yun Chuzhou. A moment later, the servant came back to report, sect leader, young Hiroshir said that he's very tired. If there's anything, we'll talk about it tomorrow during the day. That person snorted coldly, Lu Qian, you go with me. I want to see who dared to trick us. Lu Qian wished this man could slap Yun Chuzhou to death. He and the man immediately went to the courtyard where Yun Chuzhou was. The two of them directly barged into the house. Although it was night, the inside of the house was as bright as day. A huge luminous pearl was placed on the table. Yun Chuzhou sat calmly on the chair, drinking tea and eating melon seeds. When she saw the two of them come in, she giggled. All of you are here. If you want the map, then sit down and talk. Shiling. Why did you make up the lie that I sold you the jade slip? What are your intentions? The masked man looked at Yun Chuzhou carefully for a while. Although this kid might have hidden his spiritual power, he did not see anything special. What are my intentions? Of course it's for the spirit stones. Now that the map is in my hands, if you want it, you can buy it with spirit stones. It's that simple. Yun Chuzhou took out the map from her storage ring and shook it, then put it away. Don't be arrogant, Shiling. You're now in the territory of our Goshawk sect. If you anger me, you won't have a good ending. Lu Qian's eyes were full of resentment. As long as I get the map, I will make you beg for your life and avenge my Lianqin. I advise you to be more sensible. If you force me into a corner, I will destroy the map. At that time, none of us will be able to get it. Yun Chuzhou calmly sipped her tea and said indifferently. The masked man sneered and said, how many spirit stones do you want? I heard that this map is related to a huge treasure. Therefore, it's naturally very valuable. 100 million upper-grade spirit stones. 100 million upper-grade spirit stones. You're simply asking for a sky-high price. Lu Qian cursed angrily. The masked man also sneered and said, it seems that you don't have the sincerity to make a deal. In that case, give me your life. The masked man suddenly reached out his hand and slapped Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou dodged the man's attack. Hey! If the price is too high, we can discuss it again. It's not a good habit to get physical. Cut the crap. Hand over the map. Otherwise, they'll kill you. The masked man slapped Yun Chuzhou again. Chapter 732, Who is your master? Kill me. You're dreaming. We might not even be able to kill each other. Yun Chuzhou kept dodging and did not attack. The masked man saw that he could not hit Yun Chuzhou after a few moves, so he became a little impatient. He shouted at Lu Qian, Lu Qian, what are you standing there for? Hurry up and help. Just as Lu Qian was about to help, he felt a gust of wind behind his head and subconsciously dodged it. He did not expect that there would be another gust of wind in front of him. Just as he dodged it, there was another gust of wind behind his head. Lu Qian kept dodging in a sorry state, sir. Help. Help. What's going on? The masked man was stunned, concealment talisman. Just as he was stunned, Yun Chuzhou also disappeared. Almost at the same time, Lu Qian screamed and fell to the ground. The masked man was shocked and wanted to rush out of the door. How could Yun Chuzhou and Enfeng let him have his way? She thought that the person behind Lu Qian was very powerful, but she did not expect that he was only at the 4th level of the Spirit Emperor realm. She really overestimated Lu Qian. Yun Chuzhou and Enfeng Pincer attacked from the front and back, and they also activated the concealment talisman, so they did not spend much effort to restrain the masked man. After restraining the spiritual power of the masked man, Enfeng broke the tendons of the man's feet. Only then did he and Yun Chuzhou reveal themselves. Enfeng took off the mask on the man's face, revealing an ordinary face. He took off the jade plate on his waist and looked at it. Sure enough, there was a picture of the lily carved on it. Tell me, who is your master? Yun Chuzhou took out a large kitchen knife and rubbed it on the man's face. The man looked at Yun Chuzhou with contempt. You want to know about our master? Don't even think about getting any information from me. After saying that, the man intended to bite the poison hidden in his mouth. Unexpectedly, Yun Chuzhou touched his body a few times and he found that he could no longer move. Yun Chuzhou took out the poison in his mouth. She sneered, "You still want to play this trick with me? I have a lot of ways to make you beg for death. For example, I will cut you 1,000 times, pour honey on you, and let the stone-eating ants bite you bit by bit until you're left with white bones. Then, I will give you a muscle-growing pill. When your skin and flesh grows back, I will cut you a few more times." The man widened his eyes in horror. Yun Chuzhou tapped on his acupuncture points a few times, then, she used the large kitchen knife to cut his neck. This is the first cut. If you don't say it, it'll continue to cut. Anyway, I have the pills here, so I won't let you die. The man could not take it anymore. If he took the poison and committed suicide, it would only be a moment of pain. The punishment described by Yun Chuzhou was really creepy. "I'll say it. I'll say it. If you want to talk, then tell us everything you know. If you dare to lie or brush us off, HMPH. Yun Chuzhou took the large kitchen knife and slashed the man's neck again. At that moment, the man felt that the young man in front of him was simply a devil that had come out of hell. He said in a trembling voice, "Young hero. I'll talk. I'll talk. Actually, I don't know who the Lord is. 3 years ago, a man wearing a mask came to me and said that he could rapidly increase my spiritual power. He also promised me that if we complete the Lord's great cause, he would lead us to a higher-level continent. The spiritual energy there is 100 times richer than our Qingxian continent. It will be a paradise for mankind." Chapter 733, I heard that you have another brother. That person gave me some pills to consume and use to subdue the forces. He asked me to look for information about the Eye of the Earth. I happened to obtain that sheepskin map and thought that there might be something inside. Thus, I subjugated Lu Qian and wanted him to be a scapegoat to scout the way. If I can find the map or the treasure, I will kill him and take it for myself. If he dies, I'll find someone else. Young hero, that's all I know. I haven't seen that person for 3 years, but he would occasionally ask me about the progress of the matter through the voice transmission talisman. I've told you everything I know. Please spare me. Yun Chuzhia's palm landed on the back of the man's neck. Then, she said to Enfeng, what this person said should be true. Let him use the voice transmission talisman to lure the upper line here. Who knows what he might do with the voice transmission talisman? There are only 2 of us, and we're really alone. Enfeng nodded. Miss Jiu, let's return to the Spirit Radiance sect first and then make a long-term plan. Yun Chuzhou thought about it and could only do so. All right. Well, return to Spirit Radiance sect now. Then what about the mess that is Goshawk sect? In natural selection, the winner is king. Let them fight among themselves. Well, leave now. Yun Chuzhou was not in the mood to deal with these trivial matters. She put the man in a sack and let Enfeng carry him on her shoulder. Then, she set a fire and took advantage of the chaos to leave the city. After the two of them left Chimeric City, they returned to the Spirit Radiance sect on a flying spirit tool. Half a month later, the flying spirit tool arrived at the Spirit Radiance sect. Yun Chuzhou brought the man who had taken the sleeping powder to the meeting hall and told Master Xianyuan everything that had happened. However, when Yun Chuzhou told him, she did not mention the merman. Instead, she told him about the illusion that the merman had set up. "Little Jiu, you should go back and rest. I will gather the other 3 sect leaders and discuss a safe plan before informing you." Since the matter was of great importance, Master Xianyuan could not make a decision in a hurry. Yun Chuzhou nodded and returned to her dormitory. She did not dare to relax for the past few days. Finally, she could have a good rest. Yun Chuzhou took a shower and fell asleep. Yun Chuzhou slept until the evening. When she woke up, she saw Di Baiming sitting beside the desk, reading a book. Seeing this, she jumped over from the bed. "Prince Charming, I missed you so much. Quickly catch me." Di Baiming sighed and stretched out his arm to hold Yun Chuzhou in his arms. "Nonsense. How crazy are you?" Yun Chuzhou hugged Di Baiming's neck and said shamelessly, "I like to fool around. Don't you like me like this?" Di Baiming picked Yun Chuzhou up and put her back on the bed. He said with a straight face, "I heard that you have another brother." Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes. "My Prince Charming, did the little madman tell on me? This chatterbox. Little madman." The corner of Di Baiming's eyes twitched. "Little Jiu, don't change the topic. What's with the merman?" "The merman is so pitiful. He was trapped by 3 10,000-year-old black iron chains for more than 10,000 years, Yun Chuzhou told him everything. Of course, she naturally omitted some details that could easily be misunderstood by Di Baiming, such as how the mermaids multiplied. Chapter 734, The Big Brother Merman was very good-looking. "Prince Charming, have you heard of the merfolk? How did they get wiped out?" Yun Chuzhou's eyes sparkled. "Prince Charming, you know everything and are very powerful." When Di Baiming was looked at by Yun Chuzhou's worshipful eyes, his heart immediately softened. The merfolk were indeed wiped out tens of thousands of years ago, but it's said that they lived in the Tianyuan continent. Why? Is one of them imprisoned in the Qingxian continent? Who knows what's going on? The memory of Brother Merman has almost disappeared. Oh right, I even picked up a few of his tears. Brother Merman said that this is the best water-repellent bead. "Prince Charming, I will give you the biggest one." Yun Chuzhou took out the water-repellent beads, picked the reddest and largest one and handed it to Di Baiming. Di Baiming's heart was touched. Seeing Yun Chuzhou give him the reddest and largest water-repellent bead, his heart was filled with sweetness. Although the black thing was not interesting, he was still the number one thing in her heart. He was very gratified. Yun Chuzhou saw that Di Baiming had been coaxed by her and was very pleased in her heart. "Little fellow, you're such a gigolo. Settled you in a minute." Yun Chuzhou's stomach started to growl and her eyes lit up. "Prince Charming, the snow rabbit meat on the chimeric icefield is very delicious. I've caught many of them. I will roast them for you to eat later." Di Baiming's lips curled up slightly. "Okay." Yun Chuzhou washed up briefly, hopped outside, and began to prepare the roast meat. Anfeng was afraid that Yun Chuzhou would seek revenge on him, so he hid in a corner and obediently pretended to not exist. "Little madman. Come over and roast the meat for me." Yun Chuzhou glared at him fiercely. The corner of an Yin's eyes twitched violently, and he looked at Anfeng with a mocking expression. "Miss Jiu, didn't we agree? Isn't that just an alias on the chimeric planes?" Anfeng asked with a sad expression. "Humph. You snitch. I'll call you crazy from now on. Hurry up and roast the meat." Yun Chuzhou puffed her cheeks and said angrily. And Feng looked at Di Biming, hoping that his esteemed self would speak up for him. Who would have thought that Di Biming would like Yun Chuzhou so much that he did not even look at Feng? And Feng could only start to roast the meat without complaining. He was so regretful that his intestines were turning green. His lord did not even speak up for him. Miss Jiu was full of evil intentions. She might not torture him in the future. After a while, Di Biming saw Yun Chuzhou enter the house to take something. He whispered to Feng, "From today onward, your monthly salary will be doubled." The dark clouds in Feng's mind were instantly swept away. If he was a little crazy, then so be it. For the spirit stones, for the esteemed lord's high regard for him, he would go all out. When Yun Chuzhou came out of the house, she saw Feng's smile almost reaching his cheeks. She looked at him suspiciously and asked, "Feng, did you think of something happy?" "Miss Jiu, we returned safely from our experiential learning and even caught the person with the jade token. Naturally, we should be happy. The rabbit leg is done roasting. You and the esteemed lord can eat it now." Yun Chuzhou saw the snow rabbit meat that was sizzling with oil, so she did not ask any more questions. She pulled Di Biming to sit on the stone chair and started eating happily. Feng wiped away his cold sweat. It was so close, so close. It was really difficult to carry out intelligence work when he was beside Miss Jiu. Sigh. One must enjoy life in time. Just like Brother Merman, what's the use of being good-looking? He has been trapped there for tens of thousands of years. Not to mention eating roasted meat, he would be lucky if he did not starve to death. Yun Chuzhou said with a sigh. When Di Biming heard Yun Chuzhou praising the merman's good looks, he felt a little pang in his heart. He asked quietly, "Is that piece of mermaid really good-looking? Are you exaggerating?" Chapter 735, Wisdom is a fool. Every time Di Biming mentioned the merman, he always said it as if it was an object. He wanted Yun Chuzhou to understand that it was a demonic beast and not a human. Unfortunately, Yun Chuzhou did not pay attention to this. When she saw Di Biming questioning her words, she pouted and said, "Prince Charming, don't you believe me? Then I'll draw it for you." Yun Chuzhou had almost finished eating, so she took out the drawing paper and quickly started drawing. Not long after, she drew a portrait of a merman. She captured it in both form and spirit, especially the dark and pure look in his eyes, which made people involuntarily feel pity for him. "Prince Charming, do you think Brother Merman is good-looking?" Most importantly, Brother Merman's beauty is the kind of pure beauty that doesn't touch the secular world. It's the kind of beauty that people can't bear to blaspheme. Yun Chuzhou pointed at the portrait of the merman on the table and said. Di Biming looked at the portrait on the table, and his heart felt a little stifled. Although he was slightly less good-looking than him, he was indeed not bad-looking. Damn it, he was not even wearing clothes on his upper body. He was simply shameless. When he heard Yun Chuzhou's praise for the merman, he felt even more frustrated. His eyebrows were knitted together. Pure beauty. Humph. He was simply shameless and a pervert who did not wear any clothes. Feng, who was beside him, took a few steps back without batting an eyelid. "Miss Jiu, what did you mean by even the wisest can have a momentary lapse in judgment? You are acting like a demon right now. This time, you can't blame me. It's all your own doing." Yun Chuzhou's IQ would automatically go offline the moment she appeared in front of Di Biming. She did not notice Di Biming's unsightly expression and continued. "What a pity. If the mermaid women still existed, they would definitely be astonishingly beautiful. However, I've already asked Brother Merman. They can reproduce just like human women. When the mermaids turn into human form, nothing will be delayed." Crack. The stone table shattered into powder. "Black thing. Say that again. You actually talked about reproduction with him?" Di Biming shouted angrily with a livid face. Yun Chuzhou was dumbfounded. Looking at the furious Di Biming, her intelligence finally came back online. She wanted to slap herself. She stammered, "Prince Charming, don't misunderstand. I'm just afraid that the mermaids will be extinct. So, I just asked." Di Biming looked at her deeply. "You really care about him? You even care about how they reproduce? Black thing, what else are you hiding from me?" Nothing. Really nothing. I just asked how the mermaids reproduce. I said I would help him introduce a girl, nothing else. Besides, the main reason I asked him that question was because I was more curious. Think about it. How are two fishtails going to he, Yun Chuzhou said as she started to giggle. Di Biming was so angry. You're just a girl. Why are you so concerned about how the mermaids mate? You're really infuriating me. Yun Chuzhou laughed recklessly as she said, "Prince Charming, what do you think they would do if one of them turns into a fish while doing it?" Ha ha ha, and Feng and an Yin could not bear to look at her anymore. "Miss Chiu, our lord's hair is almost standing on end. You should look after yourself." Chapter 736, Doesn't my body look good enough? When Di Biming heard Yun Chuzhou's words, he could no longer restrain himself. He picked Yun Chuzhou up and walked into the house. Yun Chuzhou realized that she was picked up by Di Biming again. She shouted angrily, "Put me down. You're making fun of my height." Di Biming said coldly, "Black thing, if I don't punish you, you might go overboard. I will teach you a lesson today." Yun Chuzhou suddenly remembered that while training in the Wuwei Tower, the gigolo had once slapped her little bottom. That pervert would not want to slap her bottom again, right? No, I have to think of a way to escape and go to Fifth Sister's place to hide. This stupid mouth, why does it always spew nonsense whenever it sees the gigolo? Di Biming threw Yun Chuzhou onto the bed and propped his hands on the bed. He looked down at Yun Chuzhou and said, "Black thing, how do you think I should punish you?" Cough cough. "Prince Charming, I was just curious." "Aren't you curious too?" Yun Chuzhou's eyes had a chaotic look as she thought about the possibility of escaping. "Humph. I don't have such a perverted hobby as you. Were you going to train or to flirt with that fishy pervert?" "Prince Charming, I'm innocent. It was just a coincidence. I was very obedient the entire time. If you don't believe me, you can ask Feng. Besides, if I have any evil intentions, why would I tell Feng about it?" Yun Chuzhou said pitifully. Hearing Yun Chuzhou's words, Di Biming's anger subsided a little. He did not expect Yun Chuzhou to continue, "Besides, Big Brother Merman's hair is so long, I couldn't see anything." Di Biming gritted his teeth, "Then what else do you want to see? Doesn't my body look good enough? You want to see someone else's despite already seeing mine?" Di Biming was completely angered by Yun Chuzhou. Such unexpected words came out of his mouth, and after he finished speaking, his face immediately turned red. Yun Chuzhou's eyes lit up, "Prince Charming. You're right. No one looks better than you. Take it off and let me appreciate it. I promise I'll only look at you from now on. Take it off quickly. Take it off quickly." Di Biming's face was as red as blood. He was so angry that he gritted his teeth. "Shut up. Write a self-reflection letter. Write it right now." Yun Chuzhou pouted, "You said it yourself and you're blaming me?" "I'll write one. It's not like I haven't written it before." "Humph." Yun Chuzhou thought to herself, "I'll do it as long as the gigolo doesn't spank my little butt." As for writing a self-reflection letter, it was a piece of cake. Yun Chuzhou sat beside the desk and wrote a self-reflection letter very quickly. She smiled cheekily and handed it to Di Biming, "Prince Charming, this is a fresh self-reflection letter. Please take a look." Di Biming glared at her and read the letter. Di Biming had no more energy to complain about the number on the self-criticism letter. He directly jumped to the main text and saw that it read, "My most handsome, most beloved Prince Charming, in my heart, no man is more handsome than you. No man can replace your position in my heart. Were not for you, I would have died of heartbreak." When Di Biming saw this, the anger in his heart subsided a little. No matter what, although the black thing was a little off-key, her feelings for me were genuine. In her heart, no one could compare to him, let alone that fish demon. However, when Di Biming saw the rest of the letter, he was so angry that he wanted to slap Yun Chuzhou to death. Chapter 737, Madly hurt Di Biming saw the following words, "Prince Charming, although I love you to the bone, I must muster up the courage to point out your shortcomings today. Although I know you will be unhappy, because I care for you, I must speak my heart. Prince Charming, you are two multiplied by 10,000, narrow-minded. When I asked Brother Merman about reproduction, I was asking from the perspective of humanity and science. Do you have to be so stubborn? Besides, you are so stingy. I wanted to see you, but you didn't even let me see you. If you had, would you have lost anything? I was just looking, it doesn't change how I feel for you. Why are you so uptight? Besides, it's not like I haven't seen it before." When Di Biming saw this, he didn't want to read the rest of it. He was so angry that he threw Yun Chuzhou onto the bed again. "Black thing. If it wasn't for the fact that we haven't gotten married yet, do you think I wouldn't let you see it? Of course, if you think that you can see it so easily, then I will immediately fulfill your wish." Di Biming was already extremely angry at Yun Chuzhou. His eyes were filled with anger as he stared at Yun Chuzhou. Prince Charming. I was just joking. Don't take it seriously. Getting angry is unhealthy. Calm down, calm down. Yun Chuzhou was a cowardly person who was full of life, heart, and guts. She was usually very loud, but when she saw that Di Biming was about to make a move, she immediately became tied. "You're joking, are you?" "I'm not. Don't you want to see? I'll let you see it all today." Di Biming said as he trapped Yun Chuzhou on the spot and started to take off his clothes. Yun Chuzhou saw that after Di Biming took off his clothes, he actually started to take off his underwear too, and immediately, she started to howl, "Prince Charming. I was wrong. I was wrong. I was so wrong. I won't dare to mess around anymore. I'm still young. You can't do such a perverted thing to me." Di Biming was so angry that he was amused. "A perverted thing? Since you provoked me so much, it'll be a real perverted beast." Yun Chuzhou was really scared now. She was so filled with regret that her intestines had turned green. If she knew that the pretty boy would be so angry, she wouldn't have said those words. She cried and said, "Prince Charming, being impulsive is not the way. Please calm down. I was wrong. I promise that I will be obedient in the future. Even if there is a man lying in front of me, I will not even look at him." She secretly added in her heart. If he did not look at him, he should at least look at her twice or thrice, right? Di Biming only wanted to scare Yun Chuzhou. He would not touch her without her consent. If he could not even do that, what sort of man would he be? However, Di Biming felt that he had to teach Yun Chuzhou a lesson. Otherwise, if she did as she pleased just because he was not around, wouldn't she be doing that every day? Seeing that Di Biming seemed to be serious, Yun Chuzhou was so scared that she started to talk without thinking. "Pretty boy, if you want to do that to me today, I won't forgive you. You unreasonable bastard. You narrow-minded pervert." Di Biming's anger was once again stoked. "Black thing. Shut up. Shut up. Why should I shut up? You pervert. You bastard." Yun Chuzhou's words stopped abruptly. Chapter 738, Useless Yun Chuzhou was in a daze. She did not even know that Di Biming had released her. A thought flashed through Di Biming's mind. Indeed, this was the best way to stop the black thing from spouting nonsense. He would have to use it more in the future. He had finally unlocked the ultimate skill. Di Biming pretended to be serious and said, "Black thing, I'm warning you for the last time. If you mess around again." Humph. Yun Chuzhou nodded in a daze and rolled to the side of the bed. She hid under the blanket and decided to be a quiet little quail. It was too embarrassing. Di Biming left her as she was. He kept Yun Chuzhia's self-reflection letter in his storage ring. Then, he put the illuminating pearl on the table into his storage ring and lay outside the bed. Yun Chuzhou hid for a long time. When she saw that Di Biming had not said anything, she poked her head out from under the covers. She touched her blushed face and cursed in her heart. Wasn't it too much to ask for a kiss just because of a disagreement? She immediately despised herself for being so weak. It's just a kiss. It was not like she had never kissed before. The gigolo was clearly trying to scare me just now, but I actually fell for it. It's too embarrassing. Idiot. Such a good opportunity was wasted. I'm a pig. How did I become an idiot in front of the gigolo? Could it be that the saying that one becomes dumb when they fall in love was true? My IQ has become a negative number. The more Yun Chuzhou thought about it, the more unbelievable it sounded. The more she thought about it, the more regretful she became. For now, she did not have the guts to do anything. She sighed in her heart, but she quickly adjusted her state of mind. There was still a long time to go. She would find an opportunity sooner or later. What was the rush? As the saying went, what does not kill you makes you stronger. As long as she persevered, she would succeed. After consoling herself, she turned around, wanting to see if Di Biming was asleep. Under the moonlight, Di Biming was looking at her with a smile that was not a smile. The moonlight made his sharp features look a little more gentle. Yun Chuzhia's heart palpitated. It was like seeing the first flower in spring. Her heart instantly felt warm and bloomed. There was only one person left in her heart. Di Biming looked at the adorable Yun Chuzhou and laughed softly, "Little fool." Yun Chuzhia's little heart pounded violently. She cursed in her heart, when did the flirting skills of this gigolo suddenly go off the charts? I like this gigolo so much. What's wrong with him? She didn't know how to express her feelings, hence, she hugged Di Biming like a koala and said, "Prince Charming, you are good-looking and your cultivation level is high. You are good to me. How can there be such an outstanding person like you in this world? What if I find out that I love you even more?" Di Biming felt a warmth in his heart. However, he said calmly, "Okay. Yun Chuzhou, what the hell is wrong with you? You are so good at hiding your feelings. Such skill is rare in this world." For a moment, the two of them were silent. They leaned against each other and only had each other in their hearts. Di Biming felt that this was what the book meant when it said that time was peaceful, right? He hoped that time would stop at this moment. Di Biming was immersed in the peace when he heard Yun Chuzhou say something dirty. The pink bubbles in Di Biming's head instantly disappeared. Chapter 739, Lack of Sincerity. Yun Chuzhou suddenly remembered something. "Prince Charming, have you kept the illuminating pearl on the table? Remember to return it to me tomorrow." Di Biming snorted coldly. "Black thing, would I still be after your things?" Yun Chuzhou thought to herself, "Not after my things. You've already taken so many of my spirit stones." However, she did not dare to say it out loud. She laughed dryly and said, "My Prince Charming, I'm just reminding you. I don't have any other intentions." Di Biming raised his eyebrows and his eyes flashed. "Didn't the clothes, handkerchief, and boots I gave you last time get destroyed by lightning? I've found another set for you." Yun Chujia's face lit up with joy. She widened her eyes and waited for Di Biming to bring the items to her. She did not expect Di Biming to stop talking at this point. Instead, he closed his eyes and looked drowsy. Yun Chujia's heart felt like a kitten was scratching it. She shook Di Biming's arm and asked, "Prince Charming, where are the clothes and boots you mentioned?" "I'm sleepy. Let's talk about it tomorrow," Di Biming said calmly. Yun Chujio was not willing to give up. She said slyly, "Prince Charming, my dear Prince Charming, give it to me now. Otherwise, I won't be able to sleep." Di Biming curled his lips but didn't say anything. Yun Chujio knew that Di Biming was taking revenge on her. She wanted to slap herself. "Did you owe me anything? Why did he mention the illuminating pearl?" She blinked her eyes and said fawningly, "Prince Charming, I was wrong. I shouldn't have treated you so badly. Please forgive me. I promise I won't make the same mistake again in the future." Di Biming snorted coldly and still didn't say anything. "Gigolo. You cold-hearted man. You only know how to take advantage of me. If you are already prepared them, why don't you give them to me?" Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and kissed Di Biming on the cheek. "Prince Charming, this is my apology gift, please forgive me." Di Biming was silent for a while, then said indifferently, "Not sincere enough." Yun Chujio was stunned at first, and then a sentence appeared in her mind. "The gigolo's a degenerate. The gigolo's a degenerate. The gigolo's a degenerate." However, Di Biming had underestimated Yun Chujia's thick skin. She didn't even care about her reputation just to get new equipment. She hugged Di Biming's face and kissed it. "Prince Charming, is my sincerity enough now?" Di Biming curled his lips and hugged Yun Chujio. He covered his lips with hers. After a long while, he said hoarsely, "It's never enough." Yun Chujia's face turned red. Damn, it was so embarrassing. She did not care about the equipment anymore. She rolled to the side of the bed, crawled under the blanket and continued to pretend to be a quail. Di Biming was very satisfied. With a move of his spiritual sense, a set of equipment appeared on the bed. "Little Joe, do you not like this set of clothes? If you don't like it, I'll keep it." When Yun Chujio heard Di Biming's words, she immediately crawled out from under the blanket and grabbed the new equipment. "Who said I didn't like it?" She cursed in her heart, "These were obtained through my selling my body. If I don't get it, wouldn't I lose a lot?" Yun Chujio did not care that it was late at night. She could not wait to try it on and twirled around. "Prince Charming, does it look good?" It was a moon-white dress. It was very fresh and elegant. There were dark patterns of the pinelia flower embroidered on it. As Yun Chujio turned it around, it seemed as if it was dancing. Di Biming only had one sentence in his mind. She was graceful as a swan and as elegant as a swimming dragon. Chapter 740, It is enough for me to praise myself. Di Biming was a little dazed. When did the black thing become so beautiful? Under the moonlight, Yun Chujia's skin was as white as jade while seemingly being as smooth as cream. Her pair of bright and lively eyes looked around. Her lips were slightly red and swollen, but they looked sweeter and more alluring. Yun Chujio saw that Di Biming did not react. She leaned on the bed and waved her hand. "Prince Charming, do you think that I'm too beautiful and that's why you're speechless?" Hee hee. Di Biming's ears were sharp. "Humph. I just think that this dress is very good looking. As a person, you're just okay." Yun Chujio pouted. "Prince Charming, if you're lying, be careful that your nose will grow longer and longer. I'm a beauty that can topple countries and cities, and I'm as beautiful as a flower. Yet, you went against your conscience and said that it's just okay, hmph." Di Biming subconsciously touched his nose and coughed dryly. "Alright, it's getting late. Stop showing off and go to sleep." Yun Chujio pouted, took off her clothes, and climbed onto the bed. Prince Charming, it's a virtue to know how to praise others. I always praise you, can't you praise me too for once? Di Biming was silent for a moment, then said faintly, Little Jiu, I think you don't need to be praised by others. You should praise yourself. Yun Chujiu was stunned for a moment, then she was angry. Prince Charming, what do you mean? Are you saying that I'm always shamelessly boasting? When did I praise myself? Isn't it appropriate to describe me as devastatingly beautiful? Humph. If you're not boasting, then forget it. Why do you have so many excuses? Normally, I don't ask others for anything that I can do on my own. If that's seen as boasting, then it's boasting. I feel that I've perfectly explained what it means to be peerless and magnificent, simply beautiful to the extreme. Di Biming, all the positive words that Yun Chujiu knew about women were applied to herself, then, she yawned, forget it, in too outstanding. Words can't even describe it. In short, it's just a sentence. Prince Charming, you've picked up a rare treasure. You're fortunate to have met me. It's a blessing worth 8 lifetimes of cultivation. Di Biming stretched out his arm and held Yun Chujiu in his embrace. He said word by word, that's right. It's my greatest fortune to have met you. Yun Chujiu was just showing off when she was suddenly caught off guard by Di Biming's words. Her little heart started thumping violently. Damn, this pretty boy's flirting skills were really good. Yun Chujiu was usually very cocky, but at that critical moment, she was silent. She stammered out the words, me too. Di Biming curled the corners of his mouth. He felt that the rarely shy black thing was really cute. He wished that he could accompany her at all times. It would be great if she could break through to the peak of the 9th level of the Spirit Emperor realm as soon as possible. Little Jiu, how was your training this time? It was pretty good. However, because I met those people from the Goshawk sect, my training plan was partially hampered. When the matter with the Red Spider Lily Jade token comes to an end, I'm prepared to go out and train. Di Biming nodded. The faction behind the Red Spider Lily Jade token has always been hidden behind the scenes. The people who show themselves are just some people who have been bribed by the medicinal pills. Moreover, it seems that they have been planning things for several years. I'm afraid that there won't be any progress in the short term. Yun Chujiu's eyes lit up. Prince Charming, you've just reminded me of something. Tomorrow, I'll let Elder Qi see just what that so-called magical medicinal pill is. Lu Qian described it as having some unique properties. Chapter 741, Pills that could rapidly increase one's spiritual power. The next day, Yun Chujiu went to Elder Qi and shared her thoughts. The two of them hit it off and immediately reported it to Master Xianyuan. Master Xianyuan interrogated that person, but that person didn't dare to disobey and took out a bottle of pills. Elder Qi immediately took the bottle of pills and began to study it. Although some of the ingredients could not be identified, it was certain that this kind of pill could indeed allow one's spiritual power to increase rapidly. However, this kind of rapid increase in spiritual power had a very large flaw, which was that if one's foundation was not stable, and it was very easy for one to go mad. The poison of those people from the League of Assassins and this pill should be from the same person. Although these pills are evil, I have to say that the person behind them is very proficient in the refining of pills. Elder Qi, then can we start with this pill and find out who those people who were bribed are? Yun Chujiu rolled her eyes and asked. Elder Qi shook his head, outsiders won't be able to see anything wrong with taking this pill. Luck or talent will suddenly increase one's spiritual power. Hearing Elder Qi's words, Yun Chujiu could only return to the dormitory in disappointment. Yun Chujiu told Di Biming what happened. Prince Charming, now we can only hope that we can use the man who was captured to lure out the real culprit. However, I feel that this pill is too perfect, there should be some sort of trail we can follow to the source. Little Jiu, although the Azure Mystic Continent is vast. The people we found connected to the pills so far are all just small fry. Even if you find some traces of the pill, it will be very difficult to pinpoint the source. Di Biming said after pondering. Humph. Sooner or later, they will give themselves away. My task now is to cultivate hard, and when the time comes, I will catch them all. Yun Chujia's ability to regulate her mood was strong. After being depressed for a while, she was enthusiastic once again. The continents have their own rules of Tian Dao. I am not a member of the Azure Mystic Continent, so I cannot interfere too much. Otherwise, I would have helped you find out the person pulling the strings. Di Biming said with some self-blame. Prince Charming, although the Tian Dao is not very reliable, this rule is still reasonable. If you can interfere in the affairs of the Azure Mystic Continent as you wish, wouldn't that be a mess? Natural selection, the survival of the fittest. The people of the Azure Mystic Continent had followed those tenets. Sooner or later, they would find out the person behind the scenes. What I can do now is to cultivate well and work hard to become stronger. Yun Chujia's small face was full of determination. After going through several trials, her Dao heart had become stronger, and she had become more tenacious. Seeing that Yun Chujio was becoming more sensible, Di Biming felt very gratified. With little Jiu's talent, she would soon reach the peak of the 9th level of the Spirit Emperor realm. When that time came, she would be able to ascend to the Tianyuan continent, and they would be able to meet frequently. 3 days later, Di Biming returned to the Tianyuan continent when he had things to take care of. Before Di Biming left, he repeatedly told Yun Chujio to cultivate properly and not to get into trouble, or else he would not let her off. Yun Chujio nodded obediently. Prince Charming, don't worry. I will behave myself and cultivate conscientiously. I will not attract any unwanted attention. After Di Biming left, Yun Chujio cultivated obediently as she said she would. She continued to refine the lightning energy in her dantian. She felt that she was about to break through another level again. At the same time, the leaders of the 4 great sects set up a trap at a place called the 7-Star Slope. They asked the captured man to send a message through a voice transmission talisman, stating that the map had been obtained and that they would meet at the 7-Star Slope in half a month. Unfortunately, it was unknown whether there was a mole among the 4 great sects or the other party had gotten wind of it. The 4 great sects had waited at the 7-Star Slope for a month and no one had come to meet them. Chapter 742, Yun Chuling, miss you all very much. The sect leaders were disappointed their trap did not bear any fruit. They could only imprison the captured man, keep him under strict supervision, and make a long-term plan. Yun Chujio was already mentally prepared for this, so she was not too surprised. What troubled her now was that although her spiritual power had reached the limit of breaking through, she still could not break through to the next level. It seemed that she still had more training to do. Just as Yun Chujio was worried about where to go to gain more experience, a piece of news shook the entire Qingxian continent. The ancient sword tomb in the endless wilderness actually appeared ahead of schedule. The ancient sword tomb only appeared once every 1,000 years. According to the current cycle of time, it should still be another 100 years before it appeared. Nobody knew why it had appeared ahead of schedule. Although the ancient sword tomb was said to be a sword tomb, in reality, it was considered a treasure vault as well. There were countless ancient spirit tools to be found there and even the occasional immortal tools. It would stay for around 4 months before the next cycle. Although entering the ancient sword tomb was extremely tempting, only people above the 5th layer of the spirit cultivator realm could do so safely due to the dangers found inside. However, almost all high-level cultivators would still flock to it despite the danger for a chance to find rare spirit tools. The members of the Spirit Flower sect were naturally no exception. When they heard the news of the ancient sword tomb appearing, they all rubbed their hands together and could not wait to go to the sword tomb immediately. However, if everyone rushed to the sword tomb, then the sect would be empty, and it would be easy for others to take advantage of it. Therefore, after discussing with everyone, Master Xianyuan decided they would go there in 2 batches. Each batch would have 2 months, and after the first batch returned, it would be the second batch's turn. After hearing the news, Yun Chuzhou hopped to look for Master Xianyuan. Master Xianyuan, I want to go too. Master Xianyuan couldn't help but laugh. Little Jiu, not everyone can enter the sword tomb. Only those above the 5th level of the spirit cultivator realm can. You don't have enough spirit energy, so I'm sorry to say you can't. Yun Chuzhou giggled. Then, Master Xianyuan saw Yun Chujia's spirit energy level rise and finally stop at the 5th level of the spirit cultivator realm. You have already broken through to the 5th level of the spirit realm? Master Xianyuan asked in surprise. Yun Chuzhou nodded. Master Xianyuan, I can go now, right? Alright, in that case, let's follow Elder Shao and the others to the sword tomb first. We must be careful. Master Xianyuan was stunned for a while. Reaching the 5th level of the spirit realm at the age of 16, what kind of abnormal talent was this? The heavenly spirit root was indeed not something that mortals like us could compare to. If he found out that Yun Chuzhou had already reached the first layer of the Spirit Emperor realm, he would have probably fainted from shock. The next morning, the people of the Spirit Flower sect set off for the endless wilderness. Anfeng was still tasked with protecting Yun Chuzhou, so he also followed the Spirit Flower sect's flying spirit tool. The Spirit Flower sect was about half a month away from the endless wilderness. Yun Chuzhou had a very comfortable life on the flying ship, because Feng Ming, Shi Xian, and Gung Yi were also amongst the first group of people to go to the ancient sword tomb. Feng Ming was now at the 6th level of the spirit cultivator realm, while Shi Xian and Gung Yi were at the 5th level of the spirit cultivator realm. The 4 of them gathered together and played cards together as usual. After half a month, they finally arrived at the endless wilderness. The endless wilderness was a no-fly zone, so everyone had to get off their flying spirit tools and walk toward the ancient sword tomb. As soon as they got off their flying tools, they saw a man in red standing in front of them. He greeted everyone in a flashy manner, "Everyone, long time no see. I, Yun Chuling, miss you all very much." Chapter 743, Big Brother is good enough, right? The corner of Yun Chujia's eyes twitched violently. After not seeing him for a few months, Black Chicken Head was still as coquettish as ever. "Little sister Jiu, to take revenge on me, that facial paralysis gave me a lot of trouble and made it impossible for me to escape. Fortunately, Big Brother's ability is extraordinary, and I finally took care of everything. As soon as I finished my business, I immediately came to see you." Shui Wuji came to Yun Chujia's side and said eagerly. "Brother Wuji, do you want to go to the ancient sword tomb with us?" Yun Chuzhou was not stupid. Even if Shui Wuji wanted to see her, he would not have come to the endless wilderness just to find her. "Little sister Jiu, your words hurt my heart. I came all the way here, and you are so suspicious of my longing for you." Shui Wuji looked hurt. Yun Chuzhou touched her nose. This black chicken was definitely up to something. "Brother Wuji, I'm sorry. Since I've misunderstood you, they'll give you something to make up for it." Yun Chuzhou took out a transparent water-repellent bead from her storage ring and handed it to Shui Wuji. "Yo! This is a pure water-repellent bead. Little sister Jiu, where did you get it?" Shui Wuji asked excitedly. He was not excited because of how valuable the water-repellent bead was, but because Yun Chuzhou thought so highly of him. "I got it by chance, just keep it well. Brother Wuji, let's talk as we walk. Elder Chu and the others are a little anxious from waiting." "Okay. Brother will accompany you to that ancient sword tomb to see what the fuss is about. I can also protect you well." Shui Wuji's narrow eyes flashed with a faint light. Yun Chuzhou cursed in her heart, saying that he did not have other motives. Could it be that this black chicken brain also wanted to obtain an immortal weapon? However, although immortal weapons were rare, it shouldn't be a big deal to him. Why would he want to go to the ancient sword tomb anyway? After Yun Chuzhou and Xue Wuji returned to the team, the people of the Spirit Flower sect began to enter the endless wilderness. Secret Agent Huahua could not bear to look at her young master's fawning look. She originally thought that she had already let it go after not coming to the Azure Mystic Continent for a few months. She did not expect that she would still look like a useless person the moment she saw Yun Chuzhou. Secret Protector Huahua consciously got together with Enfeng. The two of them could be considered old acquaintances. After greeting each other, she followed behind Yun Chuzhou and Xue Wuji. "Little sister Jiu, when I saw your wretched appearance, I gave Di Biming a good beating. I also threatened him. If he dares to marry someone else, I will strangle him to death. Aren't I worthy of your attention now?" Xue Wuji obsequiously claimed credit. "Thank you, big brother Wuji. I will give you a fruit to eat." Yun Chuzhou handed a spiritual fruit to Xue Wuji with a smile. Xue Wuji took the fruit with a smile on his face. "Little sister Jiu is so good to me. Little sister Jiu, I heard that Di Biming's mother has seen you. She didn't make things difficult for you, did she?" Xue Wuji didn't want to eat it but put the spiritual fruit into his storage ring. "It's all right. She even gave me a cashmere blanket." Yun Chuzhou felt that she couldn't expose her family's dirty laundry, so she made light of things. Xue Wuji's eyes flickered. "Little sister Jiu, are you lying to me? Di Biming's mother has helped Di Biming find many potential girls. You appeared in his life from out of nowhere, and you're from the Azure Mystic Continent. How can she not have any complaints about that?" Yun Chuzhou was about to speak when she heard someone behind her laugh coldly. "Xue Wuji, do you think that I am too kind to you? Do you still want to work for a few more months?" Chapter 744, Heartbroken. When Yun Chuzhou turned around, Di Biming walked over slowly in a white robe. She cursed in her heart. Fuck. Some people were just unusually charismatic. Just a few casual steps from the pretty boy made everyone fawn at him. Xue Wuji was stunned at first, then he curled his lips. "Di Biming, your habit of eavesdropping is not very good. Besides, am I wrong? Your mother has indeed helped you find a lot of girls, such as Qin Mingzhu from Gue Yuan sect, Bailey Yen from Medicine Valley, Yin Xinlian from the Yin family." Di Biming saw Yun Chuzhou glaring at him fiercely and immediately shouted at Xue Wuji, "Shut up. If you don't speak, no one will realize your lack of intelligence. Little sister Jiu, look at this facial paralysis. He is angry from embarrassment. This means that what I said is true. The three people I mentioned have been in love with this facial paralysis for a long time. Not only do they have good looks, but their spiritual power is also passable. Most importantly, their family background is very good. I heard that the palace mistress thinks highly of them. You have to be careful." Xue Wuji continued to add fuel to the fire. Di Biming's face turned ashen. "Little Jiu, don't listen to his nonsense." Yun Chuzhou was slightly unhappy. Although some things could be logically understood, it was inevitable that she felt a little uncomfortable emotionally. "Prince Charming, let's leave quickly. Elder Chu and the others will be anxious again soon." Di Biming saw Yun Chuzhou's expression and knew that she was unhappy. He glared at Xue Wuji fiercely. Xue Wuji curled his lips fearlessly. "Di Biming, why are you glaring at me? Little Jiu, look, just because I told the truth, this expressionless man is taking revenge on me. You have to stand up for me." Yun Chuzhou glanced at him. "Brother Wuji, didn't you beat up Prince Charming last time? You two can fight again. I'll be your judge." Xue Wuji was stunned, and then he said with a bitter face, "Little sister Jiu, you're so cruel. Your brother's heart is about to be broken." Xue Wuji, shut up. If you keep talking, it'll make it so you won't be able to enter the ancient sword tomb. Di Biming said coldly. Xue Wuji's eyes flickered and he said embarrassedly, if you want to shut up, then shut up. It just so happens that I'm a little thirsty. I'm going to eat the spirit fruit little sister Jiu gave me to quench my thirst. Secret Agent Huahua looked at Xue Wuji, who was acting like a demon, and the sadness in her heart flowed like a river. Young master, have you forgotten what you're here for? Why do you keep provoking Di Biming for no reason? Morally, you're the third party who interfered. In terms of strength, you can't beat Di Biming. Aren't you just looking for trouble? Xue Wuji smacked his lips as he ate. The spirit fruit little sister Jiu gave me is really sweet. This is the best spirit fruit I've ever eaten. Di Biming glanced at him and said indifferently, that's the spirit fruit I gave little Jiu a long time ago. Little Jiu said that this kind of spirit fruit doesn't taste very good, and she dislikes it the most. Yun Chujiu laughed dryly and said, Brother Wuji, I just took it casually, I didn't mean it. I'll give you this rosy fog fruit, this is my favorite. Without waiting for Xue Wuji to take it, Di Biming reached out and snatched the rosy fog fruit. It just so happens that I'm also a little thirsty. Didn't Xue Wuji say that the fruit was delicious? He can just eat that. Xue Wuji instantly felt that the spirit fruit in his mouth was a little bland and tasteless. His heart felt as if it had been soaked in vinegar, and he felt heartbroken. Chapter 745, Furry wants some poison silk. Yun Chujiu saw Xue Wuji's desolate look and could not bear it. She took out another rosy fog fruit and gave it to Xue Wuji. Brother Wuji, you can keep it for later. Di Biming glanced at Xue Wuji and held back from snatching the fruit. Does he want to snatch little Jiu from me? Dream on. Xue Wuji's ability to move on was very strong. In a short while, he recovered his composure. He continued to explain the situation in the endless wilderness to Yun Chujiu. Little sister Jiu, as the name suggests, the endless wilderness is quite big. Moreover, the wilderness is also very dangerous. The lowliest demonic beasts there are at least rank 8. There are even some as strong as rank 12 there. Other than these dangerous demon beasts, it is also covered with swamps. Add to that the restriction on flying. Once you are trapped in the swamps, it will be very troublesome. However, little sister Jiu, don't worry. With Big Brother here, I will guarantee that you will arrive safely at the ancient sword tomb. Big Brother Wuji, unless it is necessary, you don't have to fight. This place is so dangerous. It is just the right time for me to train and gain some actual combat experience. Yun Chujiu could not break through for a long time. Now, she could not wait to meet some high-level demon beasts and challenge herself. Xue Wuji smiled brightly. Little sister Jiu, you work too hard. I'm really proud of you. Yun Chujiu giggled. Brother Wuji, you really know how to sweet talk. Di Biming clenched and loosened the fist in his sleeve. He clenched it again, wishing that he could slap Xue Wuji away. He clenched his teeth and squeezed between Yun Chujiu and Xue Wuji. Little Jiu, don't talk so much. Pay attention. You're here to gain experience, not to listen to someone spouting nonsense. Just as Xue Wuji was about to retort, he saw a commotion among the people in front of him. There were less than 100 people from the Spirit Flower sect. A third of them were at the level of Spirit Emperor, and the rest were at the level of Spirit Cultivator. What caused the commotion was the group of 30 to 40 level 10 venomous giant man-faced spiders in their way. A level 10 demon beast was equivalent to a level 3 Spirit Emperor. Although the people from the Spirit Flower sect had the advantage in terms of strength, the venomous giant man-faced spiders could shoot out poisonous threads. Not only could those poisonous threads trap people, but if they stuck to the exposed skin, the victim would be poisoned to death. Furry was almost going crazy with joy. Master! I want poisonous silk. I want poisonous silk. I want poisonous silk. If you want the poisonous silk, shut up. Yun Chujo felt that her spiritual sense was about to be overloaded by that ball of yarn, and she couldn't bear it anymore. Seeing that Yun Chujo was angry, Furry finally stopped and whispered, "Master, the silk produced by that venomous giant man-faced spider is a good thing. You must get as much as you can. It's now or never." Yun Chujo agreed, but she was a little uncertain. The giant spider was equivalent to a third-level spirit emperor, and it could use poisonous silk. It would be good enough if she could kill one, but if she really couldn't, she would buy a few corpses of the giant spider from Elder Shao and the others when they returned home. "Prince Charming, Brother Wuji, let's go to the front and take a look," Yun Chujo said to Di Baiming and Shui Wuji. Di Baiming saw that Yun Chujo placed him in front of Shui Wuji, and the anger in his heart dissipated a little. "I will always be the first in Black Thing's heart. No one can replace my position in Black Thing's heart." Chapter 746, A Good Way to Quickly Collect Poisonous Silk. Yun Chujo and the other two came to the front and saw a group of venomous giant man-faced spiders staring at them. It was Yun Chujo's first time seeing a venomous giant man-faced spider. This kind of demon beast was not very likable. Its huge head looked like a human face, and its abdomen was covered with gold patterns. Its claws were as thick as an adult's thigh. There were few cultivators in the endless wilderness. Although these venomous giant man-faced spiders were wary of the feast before them, they were reluctant to give it up. Seeing that these venomous giant man-faced spiders had no intention of retreating, Elder Shao shouted to the crowd, "Divide into 36 groups. Each group will have one elder and 2 disciples. Each group will deal with 1 spider. Attack." Although Elder Shao's distribution was relatively reasonable, the spiritual power of each elder differed. Some elders were only at the first level of the spiritual emperor realm, and even with 2 spirit cultivator disciples, they were still in a bit of a pickle. The poisonous silk sprayed by the giant poisonous spiders was especially very difficult to deal with. It was impossible to cut it with a sword or a knife. Only fire could burn through it. Moreover, one had to avoid letting it touch the face and hands, otherwise, they would be poisoned immediately. Therefore, while some teams had the upper hand, some teams were not a match for it. Yun Chujo happened to be the extra one. She was not on any team. Seeing that Feng Ming's team was in a bit of a bind, she quickly joined in. "Hey! You shameless 8-legged monster! If you can, come and eat me." The giant spider was very intelligent. Naturally, it understood that Yun Chujo was taunting it. It angrily spat out a bunch of poisonous silk at Yun Chujo. Yun Chujo dodged it and waved both of her hands at the same time. 2 purple bolts of lightning struck the most vulnerable part of its body of the venomous giant man-faced spider, which was its face. The venomous giant man-faced spider did not expect that the little human girl in front of it would be able to use the heavenly lightning. It was momentarily stunned. It was not as agile as other demon beasts. Although it tried its best to dodge being hit in the face, it was still struck on its back by one of the heavenly lightning bolts. Although the flesh of the venomous giant man-faced spider was very strong, it was still struck by Yun Chujo with all her strength. It let out a miserable cry. Feng Ming and the other 2 would not let go of such a good opportunity. They concentrated their spiritual power to attack the face of the venomous giant man-faced spider. The venomous giant man-faced spider was enraged. It once again shot a bunch of poisonous silk at Yun Chujo. This bunch of poisonous silk was thicker than the previous one. It seemed that it wanted to kill Yun Chujo. Yun Chujo had even killed a level 12 scarlet poison frog before, so she felt that this was nothing. With a nimble leap, she dodged the poisonous silk from the venomous giant man-faced spider. Yun Chujo snorted coldly in her heart. If it were not for the fact that she did not want Furry to be discovered by everyone, she would make the 8-legged monsters kneel and beg for mercy. With the addition of Yun Chujo, Feng Ming's group quickly ended the battle. Yun Chuzhou shamelessly put the venomous giant man-faced spider's corpse into the great void mystic realm. Furry then quickly pulled out all the poisonous silk inside. Don't worry, we'll talk about splitting it up later. I won't cheat you guys. Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Feng Ming and the other two naturally had no objections. The most important thing now was to get rid of the giant spider. As for splitting up the loot, they would talk about it later. Yun Chuzhou found a good way to quickly collect the poisonous threads. When she saw that the group was no match for her, she ran over to help. After the battle was over, she did the same thing and put away the giant spider's corpse. Then, she promised to share the loot and rushed to the next group. Di Baiming and Xue Wuji saw Yun Chuzhou jumping around like a hard-working bee. There were bolts of lightning here and there, and at the same time, she kept collecting the corpses of giant spiders into her storage ring. Chapter 747, Why was she so generous today? The Spirit Flower sect gradually gained the upper hand. Seeing that the situation was not looking good for them, the venomous giant man-faced spiders fled in a panic. Although no disciples of the Spirit Flower sect were poisoned or bitten to death, there were still a few disciples and elders whose exposed skin had been stained by the poisonous threads. Fortunately, only a few were affected and treatment was promptly given, so there were no serious injuries. Yun Chuzhou took out the giant spider corpses that had been stored in her storage ring, then said to Feng Ming and the others, "Come on. We can distribute these corpses now. I didn't put in much effort, so you guys can distribute them first. Just leave me something as appreciation." Everyone simply could not believe their ears. Did the sun rise from the west? Yun Chuzhou was usually greedy, but why was she so generous today? They did not know that Yun Chuzhou had secretly let Furry extract a lot of poisonous silk, so they naturally did not care about how much they got. Seeing that Yun Chuzhou did not seem to be lying, everyone began to distribute the corpses of the venomous giant man-faced spiders. After all, they were 10th level demon beasts, so they were still worth some spirit stones. The elders naturally would not be greedy for such a small benefit. They all expressed that they would just let the corpses be distributed among the disciples. The spider corpses were distributed evenly and everyone continued to move forward. Yun Chuzhou managed to advantage of the situation successfully and was in a very good mood. She hopped back to Di Baiming's side. Xue Wuji praised, "Little sister Jiu, I haven't seen you for a long time. Your movement techniques have become more agile." Yun Chuzhou giggled, "Brother Wuji, I haven't used my full strength yet. I will surprise you even more when I meet a demonic beast later." Xue Wuji laughed, "Little sister Jiu, I will wait and see then." Di Baiming felt that Xue Wuji was like a noisy crow. He wished that he could kill him with a slap. Black thing, the worst thing to do in cultivation is to be impetuous and arrogant. Don't be too arrogant. Yun Chuzhou immediately became listless. She puffed up her cheeks and pouted. "Got it." Xue Wuji pursed his lips in his heart. Di Baiming had a poker face. He would not please little sister Jiu at all. With such a straight face all the time, he looked like someone owed him a lot of money. Sooner or later, little sister Jiu would get tired of him. They encountered a few more groups of demonic beasts along the way, but the Spirit Flower faction had the advantage in numbers, so they dealt with them smoothly. When the sky turned dark, Elder Shao said to everyone, "Set up camp here. Well, rest for the night. Well, set off at daybreak tomorrow." Yun Chuzhou naturally would enjoy her rest. After eating, she took out her all-purpose small tent. The floor was covered with the palace mistress' snow cashmere carpet, and she lay down on it happily. Although Di Baiming wanted to lie down and hug Yun Chuzhou to sleep, under everyone's watchful eyes, he was too embarrassed to go in. Thus, he sat in front of Yun Chuzhou's tent and meditated to rest. Xue Wuji also found an empty space to meditate and rest. The next day, the sky had just brightened. After breakfast, everyone continued to move forward. The swamp area is ahead. Everyone must be careful. Elder Shao said solemnly in front. Everyone did not dare to be careless. The swamp was not a joke. Once they were trapped, even if others wanted to save them, they might not be able to escape. Moreover, there were swamp crocodiles and other demonic beasts in the swamp area. Elder Shao gave everyone a demonstration at the front. They had to move quickly in the swamp. Before their bodies sank, they had to jump onto some exposed grass. Moreover, they had to be wary of the swamp demonic beasts that would appear from time to time. Chapter 748, You have not married her yet. As the grassy area that they could rest on was very small, Elder Shao asked everyone to split up slightly across the swamp to avoid unnecessary trouble due to overcrowding. Yun Chujio was very confident in her heart. No matter how big the trouble was, it would not be dangerous for her as long as she had the gigolo and that black chicken head by her side. Therefore, this fellow completely treated crossing the swamp, a dangerous endeavor, as a hopscotch game, jumping around happily. Just as this fellow was feeling happy, she heard a miserable cry coming from the front. She saw a disciple being dragged into the swamp by a huge swamp crocodile. The elders beside him did not have time to save him at all. By the time they reacted, that disciple had already disappeared. Everyone had not realized the dangers of the swamp at first. When they saw this scene, they could not help but feel a little nervous, and became even more cautious. As the swamp went deeper, more and more swamp demon beasts began to appear and attack the people of the Spirit Radiance sect. The elders with high spiritual power were better off. Besides having spiritual power to protect their bodies, they could also divert their energy to attack those demon beasts. However, the disciples with lower spiritual power were in a bit of a mess, and the screams of the disciples could be heard from time to time. Yun Chujio could not help but sigh. The path of cultivation was full of dangers. In order to find opportunities, she could only put herself in danger. Just as she was sighing, a swamp crocodile suddenly jumped up from the swamp and onto the grassland where she was. It opened its bloody mouth and bit at her calf. It actually dares to bite me. Little Jiu Thunderbolt. Yun Chujio dodged while waving her right hand. A bolt of lightning went straight for the swamp crocodile's head. As expected, the swamp crocodile was somewhat dumbfounded. Heavenly purple lightning? How can a human use purple heavenly lightning? The swamp crocodile was stunned and did not dodge the heavenly lightning in time. Although it managed to avoid getting stuck on its head, its back was struck by the heavenly lightning. The swamp crocodile roared angrily out of embarrassment. Shui Wuji shouted from behind, "Little sister Jiu, be careful." Another one climbed up from that side. Yun Chujio turned her head and sure enough, another swamp crocodile climbed up from the other side of the grassland. Two swamp crocodiles surrounded Yun Chujio in the middle. Shui Wuji saw this and wanted to jump over to help. Di Baiming glared at him, "Little sister Jiu wants to gain experience. Don't cause trouble." Di Baiming, are you out of your mind? The swamp crocodile is a tier 9 demonic beast, and there are two of them. Little sister Jiu can't deal with it at all. Are we just going to sit back and watch little sister Jiu be in danger? Shui Wuji said angrily. How do you know that little sister Jiu can't handle them? Even if there is danger, I don't need you. I will protect my own woman. Di Baiming said coldly. Pfft. What do you mean by your woman? You haven't married her yet. Little sister Jiu might not even be anyone's wife. Shui Wuji, do you still want to be busy for half a year? Humph. If anything happens to little sister Jiu, I won't let you off. Shui Wuji said with a fierce look but a weak heart. Damn it. This half a year almost made me vomit blood. Damn facial paralysis. Sooner or later, it'll show you how powerful I am. Shui Wuji looked at Yun Chujio in embarrassment. He saw Yun Chuzhou moving around and continuously striking at the two swamp crocodiles with lightning. The swamp crocodile's skin and flesh were very tough. Although the lightning struck them, it would cause them pain for a while but not any fatal damage. The two swamp crocodiles were very agitated. They thought that they could easily swallow this little girl. They did not expect that they could not hurt her after such a long time. It was really detestable. Yun Chuzhou saw that the two swamp crocodiles were becoming more and more agitated. Their bodies had already climbed onto the grass. Her eyes deepened. It was almost time to play. It was time for game over. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.